it's been a weird few years for the Calgary Flames. They won the Pacific Division in the 2021-22 season and seemed pretty well primed for a long playoff run until they ran into Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers in the second round. Eventually, they were eliminated in 5 games by the Oilers, and during the following offseason, they ended up losing Johnny Gaudreau to free agency and Matthew Tkachuk to a trade to the Florida Panthers. In the offing, the Flames ended up adding Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar from Florida and Nazem Kadri in free agency, and the idea was pretty simple, keeping the contention window open. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out that way. The new additions in the existing team didn't quite gel, and by the end of the season, the Flames ended up parting ways with both general manager Brad Treliving and head coach Daryl Sutter. As a consequence, assistant general manager Craig Conroy was promoted to GM and inherited a very weird situation with 7 pending unrestricted free agents by the summer of 2024 and a team at a crossroads. Do you double down on the existing roster, or do you throw in the towel, trade off what you can, and try to rebuild, reload, refresh, whatever? Just get younger and try to make a run at it later on. The Flames ended up divesting themselves of most of their expiring assets, the lone exception being longtime forward Michael Backlund, who they re-signed and named team captain. Other than that, the team flipped pretty much everyone on an expiring deal for picks, prospects, and younger players. And by the time the puck dropped in the 24-25 season, the Flames seemed primed to be a team not quite dwelling in the NHL's basement, but sitting basement adjacent. If you looked at the roster on paper, there wasn't really any one player that you went, oh, damn, he's going to make the Calgary Flames a world beater. It was a group that had a lot of question marks and a group that had a lot of players that seemed like good hands, but might not be tippity-top A-level all-star players. Very good players, but nobody of the, let's say, McDavid, McKinnon ilk. No superstars. And so a team without superstars tends to dwell near the bottom of the NHL's pecking order. Well, here we are 21 games into the 2024-25 season, and the Calgary Flames sit 1 point out of first place in the Pacific Division, ahead of everyone in the Pacific Division aside from the Vegas Golden Knights, who are 1 point ahead of them, and notably ahead of teams like the Vancouver Canucks and Edmonton Oilers. For a team that was projected by the odds makers to be 6th from the bottom in the NHL standings overall, this is a bit of a departure from expectations. So let's dive into what's going on that has made the Calgary Flames so damn good through the first 21 games, what we can reasonably expect them to maintain, and what we can reasonably expect them to have some challenges maintaining, and whether or not those of you who are draft fanatics should be worried about the Calgary Flames potentially losing out on a high draft pick in this coming year's NHL entry draft. Let's dive in, shall we? So, what's going on? Well, through 21 games, the Flames have a record of 12 wins, 6 losses, and 3 overtime losses for 27 points. The only team in the Pacific Division with more points than them heading into Monday night's games are the Vegas Golden Knights, who have 1 more point. And so this is a team that was probably not projected to be this good, and let's dive into why they're good all of a sudden. Well, first of all, let's put it this way. Expectations are a bit of a double-edged sword. When teams are expected to be good, the weight of expectations can get them in their own heads. If you are told over and over again that you are the most talented, bestest, super-duper team in pro sports, sometimes you can think that you're better than you are. And similarly, when you were told all summer, much like the Flames probably were, and much like the Flames have in the past, then you can show up to training camp with a chip on your shoulder, with a little bit of a, us against the world, let's show them kind of mentality. And through 21 games, I think to a certain extent, a lot of the Flames' motivations have been internal. They don't think they're nearly as bad as people say they are, and they're pretty well motivated to go that extra mile, block that extra shot, make that extra play, leg out the extra almost icing, in order to stick it to people who thought that they weren't going to be very good. They've talked about being, closing out the outside noise and really listening to what's on the inside. But I also think, they're a team that last year they had a lot of distractions. They had, a third of their locker room with unclear contractual statuses and unclear futures, and that's all gone now. They can just sit and play, and as a result, because they don't have the pressure of, oh, you got to make the playoffs, people expect you to do this, to do that, to do whatever, they can just play, and they're playing loose, and they're playing a really cohesive team game to the extent where I don't think they have in years. And as a result, we heard from Mackenzie Weegar following a recent Flames win. The Flames feel like they have an identity now, and they've won 9 of their first 12 home games, and they've made the Saddledome a really difficult place to play. And if you have a good home record, if you have an identity, if you can fall back on those things when the going gets tough, you can win a lot of games that you might not have won normally. And I think the types of games the Flames are winning now, they're the types of games they might have found ways to lose a year or two ago. And so, they're a team that really, I think, has grasped what they need to be. Let's also give a lot of credit to the coaching staff. In previous years, if the Flames played loose, if the Flames had a bad period, if the Flames got away from how they're supposed to play, they could have, let's be honest, a Gaudreau, a Giordano, a Tkachuk, a whoever, one of those high-end stars, the A-level talents that could bail them out. They could have Johnny Gaudreau, he could just flip a switch and take over a game, and they could steal points. The Flames don't really have a skater with the ability to steal points. And so they have to play a 5-man unit game, a 4-line, 3-pairing, total team with a capital T game. And for 19 of 21 games, I think they've done that. The 2 games that they got away from their team game were the losses in Vegas and in Utah. And I think those are the games that they got loose, and they kind of got slapped for being loose. And as a result, they've gotten back to what makes them so successful. And I think, success breeds success when you are playing kind of a really onerous, taxing, physical, emotionally and physically taxing game. It can wear on you, but I think when you get the success, when you have that reward, when you feel validated for playing that kind of game like the Flames have and the Flames probably do, I think it fuels you. And we haven't really seen the Flames diminish how they've been playing this season yet, because I think they've been able to maintain that and get some reward from it. And so they're able to find a team concept, a team structure, and a team style of play, and I think it's brought them a lot of success. I mentioned that they don't really have any skaters that can be world-beating, difference-making, game-stealing players. I will point out they've gotten fantastic goaltending, and I don't think Dan Vladar or Dustin Wolf get a lot of love outside of the market, especially Dan Vladar. Dustin Wolf has already been spoken out about as a potential Calder Trophy candidate as Rookie of the Year. He's been excellent. His numbers are fantastic. He's been placed in a lot of opportunities to be successful. He's gotten a lot of favorable opponents relative to Vladar. Vladar's sort of gotten the tougher matchups with 1 or 2 exceptions. Wolf has gotten the easier matchups with 1 or 2 exceptions, and both of them have played very, very well. So I think right now the Flames are one of the league leaders in save percentage in the NHL, both at even strength and all situations. And it speaks to how well the goalie's been playing, and B, I think it also speaks to how strong their defensive game has been, where, one of the things that they are kind of one of the better teams at in the NHL is high danger scoring chances against. They give up a lot of shots, they give up a lot of scoring chances, their expected goals isn't anything to write home about, but they're really good at minimizing the really scary good chances. They give up chances, but they don't give a lot of secondary chances. They're really good at boxing out and clearing out, and as a result, they have to trust their goalies to make that first save, and then the goalies trust them to make life easier afterwards. And both sides of the equation have been up to the task so far. And so it's kind of cool, and it's given the Flames some confidence both in their defensive group and their goaltending. And if you have confidence in those two groups, it allows your forwards to do what they need to do to get that extra goal, to give you a little bit of breathing room. And so, again, through 21 games, it's worked. So what makes folks a little bit nervous about the Flames right now? Well, they don't lead in games very often. They're amongst the league leaders in not holding a lead. They play in a lot of close games, and so they're really reliant on getting that next goal. And so they don't have a lot of elite offensive talent. They have a lot of good offensive players, and they have a lot of players who are sort of probably playing over their skis a bit, but they don't have a particularly good power play. Their penalty kill has been okay-ish this year, but their special teams hasn't been great, and so they've been really, really, really relying on their 5-on-5 play, and it's worked so far, but if they want to be able to win those close games down the stretch, they're really going to need to have better special teams. And their special teams last few games have taken a step. Their power play has scored. As I'm speaking to, they've scored 4 goals in the last 3 games. They scored 2 goals in their last win against Minnesota, but they're going to need more from them because they've actually given up more power play goals than they've scored. And they've given up more shorthanded goals than they've scored. And neither of those things can really be persisting if they want to be in and around the playoff mix. And, another case, their offensive players haven't been great. All due respect to Rasmus Andersson, he was leading the Flames in scoring with 13 points through 21 games. He's been great. I don't think Rasmus Andersson would have expected Rasmus Andersson to lead the team in points through 21 games. So they need more from Nazem Kadri, Andrei Kuzmenko, Blake Coleman. The list goes on. They have a lot of players. Jonathan Huberdeau has 6 even strength goals. That's great. But they need more from a lot of these guys because, they don't have a lot of elite offensive talent. They need to be a do-it-by-committee kind of team. They've gotten good offensive performances from Matt Coronado and Connor Zary and call up Justin Kirkland, but they need more from everyone, especially the forward group. The defensive group has been decent, but I think to a man, they kind of need more offense from everyone, possibly everyone not named Rasmus Andersson. And so if that doesn't materialize, these close games are managing to eke out with late wins, late goals, late clutch plays. They might start going the other way. For now, the Flames have gotten a lot of good bounces and they've made a lot of key plays at key moments, but they're going to need to keep that going. So there's a lot of fans who I've spoken with who are conflicted about this season. Should they be excited about wins? Should they be worried about potentially losing that draft pick in the first round to Montreal? Should they be rooting for them to be a playoff team? And I'll say, first of all, there's no wrong way to fan. If you want to be excited about wins, you should be excited about wins. The name of the game is winning a championship. And the best way to win a championship is make the playoffs. So if you're a Flames fan, you're going, hot damn, I'm just going to say screw it and get excited for wins. You should be excited about wins, especially the way the Flames are winning. The Flames, for their lack of team identity, for the lack of cohesive style the last few years, have been at times kind of a frustrating team, I think, for fans to watch. And this year, they're fun. So if you're interested in fanning and having fun, this might be a fun year for you because I don't think the Flames are going to completely fall off a cliff, but I also don't think they're going to be able to maintain this kind of play. A lot of things have gone well for the Flames to get to this point, but eventually the hockey gods sort of balance things out and they might hit some bad luck. They've been remarkably injury resistant this year. Their blue line has been entirely healthy. They've been missing usually one forward at a time. They lost Anthony Mantha on the road trip. He was unfortunately injured in Montreal and he's out for the season. But other than that, the Flames are fully healthy. And so through a quarter of the season, they have kept most of their key bodies on the roster and in the lineup. And knock on wood, that continues, but the way hockey tends to go is you're going to lose somebody important, you're going to have to work around it. And the Flames haven't had to do that yet for the most part. They missed Yegor Sharangovich at the beginning of the season, but they were able to work around him, and he was back pretty quick. So outside of Mantha, they've been lucky. I don't know if that luck will hold up. Also, it's the kind of thing where as the season goes along, we mentioned, case in point, the reason why Elliot Friedman always uses the American Thanksgiving date as sort of a benchmark is October's too early. October, there's a lot of noise in the standings. Teams are sort of, waking up from their preseason hangovers, knocking the rust off, and get their game together. So October is usually not useful for analysis. November is easier for analysis because teams are usually, they got their legs under them by November. But the next 20 games will tell the tale. If the Flames are in the playoff mix, even in a playoff spot by mid-January, by the time we're approaching the All-Star break, the Four Nations face-off break this year, then I think you can take it seriously. But in the interim, cautious optimism. If you're a draft fanatic, there's a decent chance the Flames will be finishing outside of the bottom 10, and so Montreal will get the better of the Calgary or Florida first-round picks, assuming Florida also finishes outside of the bottom 10. And I think that's a safe assumption. So if you're a draft fanatic, just assume right now the Flames won't be picking in the bottom 10, and just learn to live with it. If they happen to win the lottery or other things happen, you never know. But you're better off to just steel yourself for the Flames losing their high pick now and try to find a way to enjoy the season. Because if you're spending your season, I'm not here to tell you how to fan, but if you're spending your season rooting against wins, it's weird. It's a weird feeling. So find a way to enjoy it, because I don't think they're completely going away. I don't think they're going to completely fall off a cliff, but I also don't think they're going to keep this up. And so they're going to be in the mix probably at this rate for a while. Maybe things will fall off. Maybe there'll be an injury. Maybe the goalies will go cold. Maybe special teams will keep battling them. Maybe their 5-on-5 play will take a turn. A lot of stuff could happen. That's why they play the games. But through 21 games this season, the Flames are probably the big surprise, the big success story in the NHL this year. And they're admittedly one of the most fascinating teams to cover in the NHL right now, because no one really expected them to be this good. I think a lot of folks expected them to be better than the odds makers said they would be, but I don't think anyone expected them to be, flirting with the top 10 in the NHL after the first quarter. And so it's weird. That's why we watch sports. Weird stuff happens, and then you try to figure out why it's happening. And so through 21 games, the Flames are weird. They're fun. They're exciting. They're fascinating. They're at times, absolutely bewildering. And I think they're probably going to continue to be many of those things through the next 20 games and probably beyond. So buckle up. Let's find a way to enjoy it. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit subscribe. Hit like, share it with your friends, hit me up in the comments, and let me know what more you want to see on the channel as the season goes along, because I'll keep posting a few videos a month throughout the season. If you want to see them more often, let me know. And if you have ideas for video topics, please chime in. And thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.